everyone. It is Stacy and Mindy, and we're back to you live. We're going to be diving further into the Ranges Quilt project today, which is going to be tied into that new Tecoma Template collection. And we've got a really cool tool that Mindy has out right there. That's called the Ultimate Crosshair Square. And you're going to be showing us how to use this today, but we're also going to be making that our official giveaway today. So again, that's an Ultimate Crosshair Square. And tell us a little bit about that and maybe show us what we're going to be learning today.
Okay, sure. All right, so today we're going to do block number 5 and block 6. Block 5 is called Stringy Bark, and the tools that we're going to be using are the Tecoma T1 and T2 set, which is the same ones we've been using. And then today we're adding in the center here, it's a Spinifex number 4, 7.5 inch. So that's what we're going to be doing in the center, and then just doing a little bit of the T1, T2 around that because we are on the smaller size block here. So let's go ahead and get started with the marking. As Stacy said, this is the Ultimate 24, and as you know, we've been having to mark 24. I have been using a 6-point crosshair square, and then having to rotate it 4 times. This one I just put on and I go. That's the beauty of it.
That's really cool. Is that only available in the 12.5 inch size?
You know, I believe it is, Stacy. This has so many cuts in it that anything smaller I think would have been too compromised. Because, you know, of all the channels. So I'm just going around here and making my markings. Have to use my Choco marker because I've got dark fabric here. So give me just a second. All righty, I think I've gone around all the times that I needed to. So now what I want to do is I want to mark my center here because my Choco marker won't get into that tiny little hole there. So give me a second to mark my center. There we go. All right, so let me put that over there, and I'm going to take our thumbtack that comes with the rotating tools. I'm going to put it through the front of this because otherwise I have a hard time finding center from the back. So now we're going to mark our center, and we're ready to go and do some quilting or some ruler work. Here, I didn't get it quite on the center there. Let's get it, try that one more time.
So which designs are we creating today?
We're doing block 5 and block 6. Block 5 is called Stringy Bark, and block 6 is called Coral Fern.
And again, we're working out of the Ranges Quilt Project book, which is a quilt project created by Leonie West. And we're using the Tecoma Template collection.
All right, so I'm going to move to the sewing machine now. Oops, sorry, I knocked the camera. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do on this is we're going to be using our Spinifex to create that center design. So
is there any chance you might be able to raise up the camera a little bit? We see, there we go. That's even, yeah, that's perfect.
Is that better?
A little bit more. Keeps kind of drooping down a little bit. Okay. Try again. Maybe we can get that visual guy back in there to help with it, but it needs to be a little bit higher still. There, that's, no, keeps kind of falling
It's
down.
this flexible stuff, Stace. So I think I've got it and I don't. How's that?
There, that should work. I think we can see that pretty good there.
All right. So we're going to start with the Spinifex 4 in the center, and we're going to be rotating that 24 times. So we're going to go ahead, and I shouldn't have put my thing in because we're going to actually not use the hole in this. We're going to keep it down in here, and that's going to become my center point. So let me get my, oops, drop my staple there. Okay, let's go ahead and lower that. Put my needle down. Bring up my bobbin thread. I can get it. There we go. All right. That's for burying later. And let's put that back down. And let's put the foot down. Now what I want to do is I'm making sure that my reference lines on my template.
Nope, we can't see any of that. All we see is your wrist and your hand.
Sorry, my hand was in the way. I'm getting the reference lines that are on the template on the reference lines that I put on the fabric. So that's how I know when I'm in the right spot. So now I'm going to put the foot down, and let's turn it around this way so that maybe we would have a higher chance of success. So now this reference line that's on the template is on that reference line that I put on the fabric. Okay, so we're going to go around this 24 times.
Oh,
And
cool. And so what size is, yeah, your hand is like really,
I'm sorry,
what's the size of the Spinifex and the
it's
number?
Spinifex number 4, and it's 7.5 inch.
Mm-hmm.
So on my 18-inch block, I have quite a bit of quilting that's outside of this. Now on the smaller block, there won't be near as much.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and go around 24 times. So here we go. Let's get started.
Okay. Yeah, you know, that angle is definitely not going to work. I'm sorry. It's just all we see is your hand.
Okay.
So we're going to maybe get the visual
I'm
guy
sorry,
back
I'm
in
gonna
there.
have to yell for the audio visual guy.
Okay.
Jerry?
So while she's doing that, I'll head on over to the, oh, we see that a little bit better there. We're going to get the audio visual guy back in there to try to see if he can rig something up.
Help here.
Okay, Stace, what would you like me to do?
We definitely need the camera taller. So if you want to try to wiggle it around a little bit to raise it much higher, and then I'll move everybody back over to the lovely cutting mat that we see here. That's one of those awesome spinning cutting mats. Oh, that's a good angle. Okay, let's see. I think we're going to all be able to see lots better with that. Oops, shaky, shaky. There we go. I think he's just about set so we can see it without the shaky. A little bit. Yep, that's a good angle. That looks really good. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Okay, so again, that was the Spinifex number 4, 7.5 inch. And you're going to be doing a 24-point design with even that ruler.
Yes. And so if you, I don't know if you have, let me, you know what, let me put the picture of the design on the other one so you can refer to that. Because when you do the 24 design, it makes a circle, and that's what we're going to go off of. So on the cutting camera, Stacy, you can see the design.
So if you don't have a 24-point crosshair ruler, then you're going to either be rotating a 6-point or an 8-point ruler to create the 24 marks. Is that right?
That is correct.
So there was a good question that came in. Someone asked if the rulers are only available for domestic or if they're available for long arm as well. And I thought I would just answer that very clearly. All of our rulers are available in 3 thicknesses. Long arm thickness, which is 6 millimeters or 1/4 inch. High shank thickness, which is 4.5 millimeters. And then low shank thickness, which is 3 millimeters. So any of the templates that we offer are available in all 3 thicknesses.
I'm just going to adjust my foot a little bit. It seems a little tight right now.
And that's a good thing to also point out when you're working on maybe going over seams, or when you're working on a thicker project or you get to a thicker section of your project. Having the adjustable foot makes the ability to go ahead and not struggle over the seams much easier, because you just need to adjust the foot sometimes.
And this is thicker because this is using the template technique. So there's an extra layer of fabric in here than normal.
Yeah, someone asked if you're using a smaller Spinifex, will it do the same design? Because this is the 7.5 inch.
Yes, it
And
will.
yeah, for the most part, each of the design numbers refers to a set design shape. And so whether you're going from a 3.5 all the way up to a 11.5, you're going to get the same design shape.
Something's happened with the machine here, so give me a minute. Let's quit picking up there. And my bobbin thread is missing. We just had this into the doctor and he said it was good. So we may need a different doctor.
So all of the blocks in this quilt are the same size. You're using the 12-inch rulers, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're
Now,
doing it
on the
on,
one that I'm doing ahead of time, I'm using the 18-inch.
do you have those to show us today?
I don't.
Oh, you don't. So the book covers that you can do all of these blocks in a size that's for either the 18-inch designs which is going to be a finished 15 by 15. Is that right?
Yes.
Or you can size it down and use the 12-inch Tecoma Template designs. And we're doing that on a 12 by 12. The final cut is a 12 by 12. But we are using our fabric pre-cuts, which we have available on the site. And I'll post a link to those. And those are all a 15 by 14 size. Did you cut those down today before you started going?
I did.
Pre-cuts. And the pre-cuts are the 15 by 14 size. Why? Because we just decided that that was our special size we wanted. No, we were trying to maximize the yield of the fabric width. And so right now, that's the only size we have available for our fabric pre-cuts. But I will post a link to that. It's something that you can certainly take a look at and see if that might make things a little bit easier getting all the pre-cuts in to do this project.
Well, I took a break. I'm putting a new needle in too.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'll take them over to the fabric pre-cuts then and they can take a look at it with me.
That would be great.
So, why do we have fabric pre-cuts? Well, because we were doing a lot of in-store events and events at shows before 2020 happened. And so we had a whole bunch of fabric that we took to those to be able to, just have everything ready to go for class kits. So now what we have is a whole bunch of different fabric options for you to choose from. So we've got orange and we have pink. We have each one of them in what we call a wave option or a basic kind of it's a basic, but I think it has a little bit of a fading look to it on each of these. And again, the wave option for the teal, a turquoise, the basic with again a turquoise wave. We have the yellow basic. And then the yellow wave. So each and every one of these, you can go ahead and kind of just pick your choice fabric. And then, of course, we have the batting available for that as well. Now, I did also want to mention that the fabric pre-cuts, or I'm sorry, the other option, which we talked about earlier, was the crosshair ruler. And that ultimate crosshair ruler, while we're recommending getting the 24 point, you can also get an ultimate crosshair ruler that is a 32 point. And so I was going to see if I could pull up those options here and show you those on the screen real quick. So that's the 24 point again. And then, of course, the 32 point even has more markings. So that's kind of exciting. Looks like you're back in it. I love it.
I am, and I'm just getting myself realigned here. All right, so here we go. Okay, I'm going to come back over here. Oops, looks like I couldn't see, but that'll be okay. So let's go ahead and get myself moved over here. Nope, right there. And I'm going to get these threads out of the way here. This time I'll have to do that.
Someone asked if you have your machine set to a medium speed with your foot pedal all the way down.
I have it, I have the slider and I have it at the bottom end of the middle choice. So it's not on the slowest, but it's also not on full medium either. And I do have it, my foot to the floor. That way I'm not having to think about too many different things. My chalk marks fade pretty quickly on this. Let me get these out of the way here. All right, so I have one right there. And I do think, especially if you're using the smaller block, that a little bit smaller spin effects is going to give you more design outside of the center. So I think it would be fine to, you know, get a little bit, like the 5.5 inch would be good, I think, on this size. Okay, and then we're on the last one. And I think you can see that the outside makes kind of a circle by virtue of the petals connecting. All right, now before I just get out of here, I want to make sure that I actually hit every single one because my reference lines were getting faint. All right, it looks like I did. So let's pull this up, and there's that design. Okay, so we're going to cut our thread here. And now I am going to put in that thumbtack that I had right in my garbage can. So heavy. Right there. Okay, so now we're going to put this back in. And now my center should be pretty easy to find from the back side. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we're going to take, and we're always going to start with the T1 because the T1 is where we start from the center and move out, and the T2 is where we come from the outside and move back in. And so we're going to be taking it this way. Here we go. So we're going to take, I'm going to put that right there. Okay, so we're going to start out here. Once again, trying to see my reference line there. Okay, so we're going to take this, put the foot down and the needle down, needle up, foot up, get the bobbin thread up so that we're not making it part of the design on the back. Foot down again and needle down. Okay, so let's get it over here where we can actually see what we're doing. And that my reference line is probably too faint for you to see, but we're going to come down here. All right, So now we're going to move to the T2, and this is where we're going to be going back and forth, back and forth. So now we're going to put this one on, and we're going to get this one on.
Can you try rotating the fabric a little bit?
Like
there
that?
we go. Now we can see it.
Okay, so now I'm going to just travel down the edge because we're going to be cutting this down. All right, so now I'm in the right position for that one. And here we go. Stop right there. Now I'm going to take T2 or T1 again. And we're going to come here. There's my reference line right there. So I'm going to travel down the center there till I hit the template. And then we're just going to go like this. Okay. Now we're going to take this back. So just rotating back and forth here and there. That was the one I was on there. So this is the one I'm going to be here. So now I'm going to go clear over here. And this would be when I might think that this would be better. So we're going to take the T2, but in the big size, the 18-inch, because that way I can go all the way to the end here. Okay. I don't have to because I am going to cut that down, but it just makes it easier so that I know that I'm in the right spot. All right. So now we're going to go back to the T1. And I'm only going to use that big one on those corners. I don't need it any other place. All right. So now where's my reference line?
What size did you cut this block down to?
This is 14 by 14. Okay, so I think I'm on the reference line now. All right, so let's bring the fabric over here. And my thumbtack just came out because I went over a bump on the table here. So give me 1 second. See, I've got a little gap here between the machine and the table. So with the thumbtack over there, it can bump out, and it did. There we go. Okay. So now I want my T2, and this is going to be long enough. And once again, trying to find my reference line. I think it's right there. Okay, right there. Okay. So now we're going to just travel down the edge here. I'm going to turn this so that you can see it. Okay. Back to the T1. And that should be, let's just back up just a little bit. You know, because I can't see, all I have to do is use my spacing gauge because a lot of my reference lines have rubbed off. And by using my spacing gauge, I'm going to make sure that I'm capturing at the top of my clamshell that I did previously. So I'm in the right place, okay? So when in doubt, measure. way. Our key. One. And right there, I can see that one. All right, so now we're going to come down here. Move it this way. Okay. And now it's when I think I'll use the big one again because I'm getting into that corner area. So let me, and that's gonna be too far. Go back up a little bit.
You know, maybe you could actually point out what you're lining up each template to.
I don't think you can see it, honey. I can barely see it. The chalk marks that I originally made, because I have to use chalk on this because it's dark. But by the time I got through with that first template, they're very faint. And that's why I'm saying, if you can't see them, you can measure and make sure you're going to hit the right one when you're making your clamshells. Because you just want it to barely touch where you just went. You know, you want it to touch the dip or the valley, if you will, of the clamshell, right in there. Okay, so now I need my T2, and I'm at a corner, so I'm going to use the big one here.
Maybe just point out which line on the template you're lining up the chalk mark to.
This bottom one right here, that's right at the valley there, that bottom one is what I'm matching up to. In there, that's going to be better. Okay, so now we're going to do this. Okay, now let's go ahead and take that, and we can go back to our smaller ones now. Okay, so the T, and that's going to be perfect. Okay, get that one off there though. All right, so let's do it this way so you can see better, I think. Let's see what we can see here. And yeah, I keep hitting that space that is in between the table and the machine. Okay, there we go.
So if someone didn't have the 18-inch and the 12-inch, what would you recommend they do on those areas that might not fill all the way
You just
through?
wouldn't be going clear to the edge because you are going to be cutting this down, okay? So you don't have to have the 18-inch to do that. I just like it because at the end of the day, I've got the proper arc, if you will, going. But that's being a little anal on my part because I'm actually going to be cutting back the block so that most of that area isn't going to be seen. Because this is a 14-inch block and we're going to be cutting it down to 12.5 inches. All right. So now let's take our there we go. I'm going to try to move this so that it doesn't, that thing doesn't fall out again. There we go. Okay. Now let's see, where am I supposed to be? Right there. Okay, so we're going to travel down here. Oh, started not following the template here, so let me get back where I need to be. Fortunately, we will be cutting that off. Okay. Let's see, there I am. All right. And I won't use the 18-inch so you can see how it would normally be. Okay. So I am, it was right there, so I'm going to be right there. Okay, so now I'm going to have to crawl down here and then come in here. Now I'm back on track. All right. And there's where I'm supposed to be. And right there. Perfect. Is it perfect? Let me see. Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay. Oops. And now I'm going to be down here. Okay. And this one will be right there.
Is there any chance we might be able to change the angle a little bit again to see more fabric, less hand? There we go.
How's that? All right, so this is
That
where
looks great.
you're going to kind of wander until you hit your template. Those out of the way here. Okay. All right, that's it's on the right place. And the last one, I think it's going to be right there. Okay, so we're just going to wander down here. Okay, so we are now done with that block. Let's pull this up and pull my foot up and cut the, sorry, I hit the camera. Cut the thread. There we go. Pull out that thumbtack. And there's the design. So you can see where I was meandering without and then doing it with the 18-inch. So it's just that the corners look more finished, but honestly, you're going to be cutting that off anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll be cutting out these tiny little centers in each one of these. That'll be really intricate work. But for right now, let's move on to the next block, which is going to be block number 6. And this one, let me remember what we're doing here. Oh yeah, this one we're going to be doing reverse, so we're making circles. So you can see that there's all kinds of circles in this thing. So what does it say here? Quilt as block 3, Gun Blossom. Curl Firm is a variation of block 3. Gun Blossom, the area cut away, is different and therefore creates a different look. Okay, so this is going to go back. Let's just refer back to 3 so we can see what her directions are here.
So someone's questioning the cutting out part. They aren't understanding the cutaway. So we'll have to show them that at the end. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, unless you want me just to focus on this particular block and do cutaway today.
Well, you're going to do a little bit of cutaway during the session, right?
At the end, yeah. So is that, you want me to proceed?
The house.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on with continuing to sew, but hopefully we'll have some cutaway to show.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and make our 24 reference points here. There we go. Okay, so let me start up here so I know where I'm begin and end is. Okay, and once again, I'm going to make my center marking here. All right, so now we'll go to the sewing machine. And let me show you the directions for this particular one. So we're going to refer back to 3. So we're going to sew in one direction, first of all, alternating with our T1, T2, and then we're going to do it in the other direction, doing the same exact thing, and that's what's going to create all of these circles that you see in the design. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start by putting our thumbtack in the center here. I'm going to try to be more gentle on my reference lines so that I have better sight of them as we go through this. There we go. All right, so we're going to take T1, and with most of these, what we're doing is we are creating a center by stitching around the base here. And that's what we're going to do with this particular design too. We didn't do it on the last one because we did the spinifex in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to put my foot down, foot up, or needle down, needle up, and then bring up the bobbin thread here. And then we're going to bring this here, foot down, needle down. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and stitch around the base here. On.
So there's a question about the possibility that you may have missed a line.
Possible. The one right here.
Yep, that's the one.
It looks like that, doesn't it? But I'll show you how I'll know, because I'm going to be using the reference lines on the template itself. So let's go ahead and do it here, because that'll end up being my last one. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and come here, get it there. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this back around over here. And put in our T2. Okay, and we're going to be putting that one right there. So now we're going to be traveling down here. I'm trying to get me so that it's not my hands you're seeing, but it doesn't seem to always work. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take that off, put our T1 back on, and we're going to just go ahead and travel down to the circle. Okay, and your template will stop you. The center of that will stop you. And we're going to get on our reference line right there. Okay. Okay, bring it back around again. And take that one out, put this one on, and we're going to be right there. So let's get it over here. You can see, and we're just going to travel down here to this one. Okay, that one off. This one on. We're going to travel on down to the circle. Okay, now we're going to be right here. Okay. Right there. Push that back. I slipped it just a little bit. All right, let's get it this way. Travel back to the circle. Okay, we're going to be right there. Is that a good angle, Stace, or are my hands in the way? Okay. I'm going to travel down here again. Pick that up. Okay. Bring it around here again. It's right there. Okay. Turn it this way. there.
Can you try spinning it again?
Mm-hmm. Where'd you go?
Sorry, I was in a bad reception spot. I had to move
Ah,
because I could only hear the other word of yours.
I was trying to find out where the best position was for my hands.
You found it.
Okay, put it right there. My reference lines are much better at this block because I didn't do that middle design, so at least this time I can see them. That's a good thing. Okay. And I've got to make sure that I get that on the table when I'm quilting here. The pin will come out. All right, let's come down here. Okay, let's do it like this. There we go. Oops. All right, and I'm going to go to the center. There we go. And I'm right where I want to be. All right. And we're going to be right there. So let's get this on there. And okay.
Maybe turn the fabric a little bit again.
Okay. It's easier, I think, to show them on this, for some reason, using the T1 than coming back from the T2. Okay. Oops, pin knocked out again. Okay, back in. And we need the T2. There we are. Okay, right there. Oops. Okay. Make sure I'm still on. There I go. Okay. Sorry, folks. Let me get this out of the way here so we don't get that as part of the design. Okay, so now we've come to the one where I didn't mark it. But what we're going to do is put this right here, and I want this to touch, so I'm going to go into the valley and I want it to hit there. So I know that I'm just about perfect. So it's really kind of just above the top of the clamshell that we did previously. The first one we did. So now is when we're going to go back to the center here, and we're going to reverse now. So we're halfway there. So we've been going in this direction. Now we're going to flip them, and we're going to go in the opposite direction. So let's bring them over here where we can see, and we'll get to where we were leaving off here. And that is going to be the T. Yeah, that's going to be the right one. Okay. All right. Let me make sure before I commit to that. Yeah, that's the right. That's in the center of that. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm getting on my reference line right there. Let me put it so maybe you can see better. And so now what we're going to be doing is completing these circles that we have going on here. Okay, here we go. And I've run out of space, so let me move my fabric here. All right, and we're going to come down here. All right, so we're on a corner. So now we're going this way. So the way that I would know that I'm going the right direction is the first time when we did it, I could read the words on the template. The second time I can't. So that's how I know when I'm right. So let's go ahead and get this where we want it to be. And I think it's going to be better if we go in this direction here, because this is, we want to come into this one. So we're going to backtrack here and come, get that pulled right, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to finish this circle right here, this circle right here. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to put this one on. Oops, sorry guys, I hit the camera. Put this one on. I'm just going to follow this stitching to the center line here, okay? So that I don't have a lot of stitching that's out of place near the center. All right, so let's get this out of the way. And then we're going to come back up here to these ones right here. Where's my reference line? There it is. There it is, right there. Okay, so now we're going to come down here along the circle. Let me turn this, I think, so you can have a better view. There we go. And I don't want to necessarily do anything other than touch where the circle was hanging out there, okay? All right, so now let's come back here, take that one off, put this one on, and we're going to look for the next one that isn't done, which is right there. Okay, so we're going to come down here. Let me turn this again so you can see better, I think. There we go. So I'm not going all the way down there. I just want to touch that stitch line. Okay.
So this is finished size of this block is going to be a 12 by 12. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And now you're just going back and kind of going using the same markings. You're going the other direction.
Correct. So I'm making circles. So before we just had the clamshells going in one direction. Now we're making them into circles.
That looks
You see
really
that?
cool. Yeah.
All right. So we're going around this 40, what is that, 24, 48 times to get this accomplished. Okay, so now we're going to go down here, follow this template, and we're just going to touch. And I always end up with my hand in your way. I'm so sorry. It's just the way that it ends up, I guess. Okay, here we go. Once again, just touching it. Okay, I'm going to take this. Oops, there we go. And we're going to put this one on. There we go. And the next one is right here. Okay, so we're going to work our way down here. Turn it around again. Okay, and I'm just going to follow the stitch line that is already there to that circle. All right, put this one on. Find my next one, which should be right there. Out to the end. Bring the fabric back around. Because this is stationary, I'm having to push the fabric all over the place here. So, okay, so there's my next one. So I'm going to come down here, pull that. Okay, turn that around so you can see maybe. Okay. Follow the stitch line back to the circle. There we go. Put this one in. And the next one that needs to be completed is right here, right? Right there. Okay. The reference lines are getting a little faint again, so bear with me while I make sure I'm in the right place. Okay. need a water break. Okay. So next one is right there. Follow that stitch line again. Down there. Put this one back on. And go up here, which is the next one that we need to finish. Okay. Okay. It's going to be right there. No, it's not. I'm down here. I thought that was way too close. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, next one is this grouping right here. There's my spot. Okay, take that one off and get the one that just fell off. And put that one on. And
So explain to us again, you're using the pin in the center of this design over and over and over again to rotate on, correct?
correct. That's what's holding this in place and allowing for all of the symmetry of the design to happen. All right, so now we're going to rotate back down here, or rotate, go down here. Okay, I'm going to put that there. Very distracting when everything's falling off. Okay, so now we're just going to follow the stitch line right back to the circle. And this is the one we need to finish now. So we're going to go down here. Okay, now it's this one that's the half circle. There we go. Okay, following. Okay, there's that one. And I'll turn it so you can see. There it is. Okay, so now it's that one. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Looks like the machine's going to make me stop here. Let's see what's going on. Has to do with thread. Okay. This one's fine. Where's my bobbin thread? I think the needle was saying it needed a coffee break.
So there was a question that came in. Someone was asking how much longer the videos will be available on this. And because we're doing this in a Facebook Live, they should be available on Facebook for, a long period of time. But we are planning on transferring the videos all over to the ranges on the university. And so if you purchase the book and the templates, then you'll be able to have access to that university class as well.
All right, let's get back to where we were here. Which was exactly where? Right here. Okay, and I think let's just take some of this out here. I'm actually gonna just take all the way back to here. Okay. Now I believe it was my T1 that I was doing. And it was right there, yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna start right in that cross section of the different circles. Oh, my bobbin thread was too little to bring up. Let's try it again. Okay, right there. There we go. All right. And that's the beauty of that pin and my reference lines, because even though I had that disruption, I was able to pick back up right where I had left off and complete without missing any steps there. Okay, so now we're going to come down here. Put that over here so it doesn't fall. And let's turn it this way so maybe you can see better. Okay, take that off. And we're going to follow this. There we go. Put that on there. And right there. All right, and this will be the next one. All right, now we're going to come here. Okay, and I think we have one half circle left. Let's see. That's right here. There's the reference line. Okay, so we're going to come down here. Oops, I moved my template here. I can't see the reference line. There we go. There we go. Okay. And we'll just travel back again to the center of the circle and then cut off our threads. All right. So there are all the circles, and this is ready to cut out as well. So let's go to, let's see here, where's going to be the easiest to do the cutting? Maybe right here. So let me go get the tools that I need in that other block, and we'll do a little bit of cutting. Actually, I changed my mind. I think it's going to be easier up here.
So we're switching venues to the cutting station, it looks like.
It is, yeah, we're going to do that. So let's take this one first. And normally I would take the time to bury the threads right now so they're not in my way, but I don't want to take up the time that we have with everybody on the camera to do that. So we'll just do a little bit of cutting here with the threads in the way. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to the picture of the two that we're doing today. Block 5 and 6. So these are the two that we're doing today, okay? So the first one is all these tiny little cuts that are in the center here. And I'm just going to do a little, just a few of them so that you get the idea. But we've got fusible on the back of the blue. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking my seam ripper and I'm just gently opening that, because it is, if you go too deep, you'll cut the second layer of fabric, and that's not good. Then you have to get very creative with how you're going to fix it. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go along the seam. We're going to go down as far as we can. And then we're going to come back up here. And what I'll do
Is there any chance that you could stretch it out a little bit, because the camera is not that low?
okay. So maybe I should go back to the sewing area.
Yeah, because we're not really seeing where you're cutting.
Okay, let's go back to the sewing area because that camera is real low. All right.
That looks good.
So where I'm cutting, I have all my tools of the trade here. So the three tools that I use are these three scissors, or these two scissors, and the seam ripper. Okay, the seam ripper is to get it started, and then the other two are for the fine tuning of the cutting. Okay, and in this particular case, I can cut pretty close to the actual seam because I'm not going to have cuts that are
Yeah.
happening side by side.
So we are struggling. There it is. That's a good camera angle right there.
Okay, so there's the first cut. Okay, and so I get to do that 24 times around there. And what you want to do is you're going to want to go back through and just do a little bit of trimming after you've done your initial cutting. And then before you ever take an iron to this, you're going to do quality control and make sure you're totally happy, because once you put the iron to it, then you've got the fusible set. Okay, so now we're going to go here. This will be the second petal. I'm just trying to pick up just the very top layer there. I will tell you that I have picked up more than the top layer. Never good when that happens. All right, so now we're just taking this tweezers.
Yeah, we're kind of out of the camera angle again.
All right, sorry
There
guys,
it is.
I can't see what you're seeing here. Okay. And we're just going to go ahead and turn this way. This is definitely, little detail work. So you want to make sure that you're not angry at anybody or stressed when you're doing it. All right, and we're just going to take this. I like to pick it up and take it like that and kind of fold it against the seam. I feel like I get better control that way. Okay. When you get down there, just snip it off. Okay. So down a little bit lower on that one. So I'll go.
We did have a question about what scissors you're using.
The sharpest ones you got. These are just tight, just sharp, tiny little ones that you can get in there with. And I don't know what the official name of these are. Sorry, guys. But these are really good for the bigger cuts. But for the tiny little ones, you want to use your sharpest scissors that you feel like you have the most control with. And I did try out probably 6 or 7 before I settled on what was my preferred. I always like to peek and make sure that I've got pink underneath there. Okay, so here we go. Once again, I'm just going to take it very gently along the seam line. And we're going to go here along the edge. And I am cutting closer to the seam than I will when we get to bigger things, you'll see. And so, and I'm in a different sewing room today where I would show you what I've already done. But I would say the key to success here is having uniformity. So if you're going to cut deep into your petals here, be consistent, because at the end of the day, you want the same look all the way around. And then on some of the other cuts, I leave more material because you want the structure of the piece to stay intact too. So on the bigger pieces, there'll be a little bit more structure. But here, because I have so much stitching going around, you can get a little closer to the edge here. Okay, so you're getting kind of the drift here. Now, the other thing that I like to do, because whenever you are interrupted or you're multitasking and somebody needs you, you come back, you sit down, and if you cut in the wrong place, you're not going to be very happy. So if you take a look, let me move some of this stuff so I can show you what I'm talking about here on the picture. Besides the petals, it's not the little one right next to the circle, it's the second one in, let's say. So we're just going to cut a circle around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Choco and I'm going to mark the ones that I'm going to cut. Like I said, when I come back and I pick it up after taking a phone call or whatever, then I know that I'll be cutting the right one. It's not very pleasant when you've cut the wrong one. And ask me how I know that. So now I'll cut a bigger one so you can see. It's not like there's a lot of difference because you're still the same process. It's just the scope.
Can you show us the cutting plan again on the page, or you just what you're kind of following?
Yes.
And just kind of lay that in front of the camera. That'd be awesome.
Right here. So
Okay.
here's all the little petals.
Yeah.
And I've just 3 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now everything that I marked are
Oh,
these.
we're not seeing that. You have to bring it down. There you go.
Are
Okay,
these right
cool.
here.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're just going to go ahead and see if I can get. There we go. So I got that one started. And I see pink. Okay. All right. So now I think I will use the bigger scissors on this one. And I put the skinny end in there. And I like to have my hands are in the way again, but I want to keep the fabric taut so that I've got good tension as I'm cutting. And then I'm going to make this corner. Once again, trying to leave uniform amount of fabric.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the layers that you have on this, because I don't think we really showed them fabric prep today.
Not today. So of course I've got the backing and then the batting, and then I've got this pink fabric, and then the top fabric has fusible on it. And so there's just one extra layer to this quilt sandwich, which is the pink that I'm trying to cut to right now. And so once you get the fusible on the top, you don't want to touch an iron to this until you're completely done, till you're happy with everything that's going on. Now here's a good example. I've got this corner and I don't have it uniform now, so I'm just going to take a little snip, and then I'm going to take, really struggling with room here today, and then I'm going to just take this and kind of go against the edge there, and then over here the same thing. I'm just going to pick up that little corner that I didn't get to, and so there's, and I left a little bit too much there, so I'm going to come back here and just shave a little bit off. Okay, so there's the first big cut. Okay, has anybody done this before?
No, I mean, there a few people have commented that, like, how is the layering of the fabric? What's the reveal? And then someone said, so basically it's like reverse applique. And yeah, the answer is absolutely it's reverse applique, but you're using templates to create the stitch design and then you're cutting away.
Leonie West is the designer of the Westalee Design product line, and she's done a lot with rotating templates and has done a lot with Template with those rotating templates. And it's actually really stunning. Some of the work that I've seen come from her is quite stunning in terms of visual appeal. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and do quality control. I don't like that corner, so I'm going to go in and snip that. And then come in here. And
Well, this is so cool. And as you can tell, the template, the cutaway part does take some time, but I loved how you showed everybody how you're going to mark the fabric and prepare to do the cutaway and kind of how to use the images that are in the pattern to, create your plan, your cutting plan, if you will. A lot of people
yeah,
like to refer to this as TV time. Because if you're sitting down in the evening and you want to keep your hands busy, then this could be a great alternative to, maybe doing a different type of project while you're watching TV. Just with, a good light and some scissors in your comfortable chair.
I would agree. Just make sure that you have your plan marked so that you don't, go off plan.
That's excellent. Now, do you want to show everybody the cutting plan on the other block as well?
Sure. All right, so let me get the other one. Okay, so this is the circles. And what we're doing is we're not actually going to be cutting the circles. We're cutting the little, what do you call it? I'll call it petals. The little petals that happened with the intersecting circles. So for instance, right there, there. Okay. So where's my marking pin? There, right there. And this is one I would for sure, yeah, although this one's a little bit more visual in terms of knowing what ones you would be doing. But I'll just mark like 2 that we'll do so you can get the feel of it. Okay. And then we would go all the way around the circle on each of these ranges of circles. So
Can
we'll
you show
just
us the pattern one more time just to kind of get a feel for the pattern itself, the cutaway pattern?
right here.
Oh,
And on
that's
this
so cool.
we're going to do the center. So let's
Yeah.
do the center because I do think that's pretty dramatic, and circles can be kind of fun to cut out depending on what your definition of fun is.
And then you'll have to show us your final blocks next week on all of these.
Yes, I will. We traveled yesterday and I forgot to bring my samples of what I did not last week because I guess we weren't here. I had a sick dog last week, guys. Ended up at the emergency vet. So it was not good. Okay. And I think you can see how I'm pulling the fabric because I want it to be taut when I'm cutting it. All right, so there's the center. And I'm pretty happy with the distance all the way around. A little bit of tweaking right in here. But other than that, pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to come to those that we marked, which are up here.
Okay. So you're going to just do a couple of those then?
Yeah. Or I don't have to. You guys have the idea. I like to, usually I can tell if I've picked up just one layer or two. And if I think I picked up 2, I go to a different place.
Emma was curious if you're doing blue as the top layer on all the blocks.
Yes, I am. And I don't think I showed you the back. I picked the solid blue because I've got all the other colors that we have in our range as the reveal fabric. And I thought this would be the universal one that they would all go with the best. All right. Turn this around here.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the technique of trying to keep a really even line, not cutting all the way to the stitches?
Yes. Um, I usually try to leave about an eighth of an inch away from the stitch line because whenever I was first doing this, I got really aggressive and got too close. And on some of the cutouts, you have fabric that you're cutting out right next to each other, and that doesn't work very good. The integrity of your project is compromised when there's uh, no fabric here. Plus, you can't see the design. You know, you want that to be part of the design aspect of it. All right, so here we go. Just very gently. That felt good. Yep. Okay. Just so you know, there is recovery if you do pick up the pink or whatever the reveal fabric is. Um, it, I guess the thing is that if you think you have more than one layer, stop.
Okay.
go go to the other side and try again. And usually it's just a slight puncture. And because of where I'm starting, oftentimes it's covered by the fabric that I'm leaving in the cutout. But if it isn't, get out your glue and stick it underneath the cut area.
That looks really
And
good. Now, before we leave, we would love for you to share with us one more time how you prepared the fabric, how you layered it, how you used the fat fusible, all that jazz.
okay, so this is the back. And then you have your batting. Okay, back batting, then the reveal fabric, and then the top fabric is the fabric that we put the fusible on. Okay, so you can see it's kind of shiny there. And so, and I did base spray very lightly the batting and the pink fabric. So, because I didn't want any of that to move around, I did not base spray this because I want to peel this off and have it be clean. So I did lightly base spray this to the batting so that it would stay put whenever I was doing my work.
Excellent. Well, I'm super excited, and I'm sure everyone else is, to see the final cutaways. And I have a feeling you're going to spend some time doing that near a TV, or maybe while traveling. Someone suggested to avoid action films or anything that could make you lurch or jump in your seat while you're cutting. And that everyone's hoping that Buster is doing okay now.
Stacy, you're cutting out.
How do I sound now? Ooh,
Okay, folks, on behalf of Stacy, I think I'll say thank you for coming and watching, and we'll see you next week.
thanks,
Bye
everyone.
bye.